This is Unit 4, Level 2, Equivalent Fractions. Equivalent fractions, based on its name, mean that we just have to keep fractions equal in order to create equivalent fractions. I'm going to show you with a model what that looks like, and we'll talk about how we can do it mathematically. So when I look at this particular model here, I see that I have 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 pieces, that's my numerator, out of 10 pieces total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 4 tenths represented here with my model. Now in order to keep things equal, I'm going to take my model here, I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to go ahead and actually erase some of these lines. So I'm going to take it from 4 tenths and just take out some of these lines. So I'm going to take out one there, take out one there, just skip every other line and take it out. I might have to go back in here and redraw some of my lines here. But I did the same thing evenly across the whole part. And so what I now have, instead of it being split into tens, I now have it split into 5 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's split into fifths. And 2 of those pieces are colored, so it's 2 fifths. Now, I didn't change how much I had colored. The same amount's colored. My box, my hole hasn't gotten any bigger. And so I have kept things equivalent. Now, what that's going to look like is that there's going to be something that I'm able to do to the top and the bottom here to get from 4 to 2 and from 10 to 5. Well, I know my number's getting smaller. And if my number's getting smaller, I must be dividing. So 4 divided by what would give me 2, or I can think of that as 2 times what would give me 4. Oh, it's 2. Let's see if that works on the bottom. 10 divided by 2, does that equal 5? Or 5 times 2, does that equal 10? Yes, it does. So what I'm doing here is on the top and the bottom, I am dividing by 2. Now, in order to keep things equivalent, I have to keep things equal, which means whatever I do to the top, I also have to do to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and pause right here and get us back to our original picture. Okay, back to our original picture of that 4 tenths. This time, instead of taking lines out, I'm going to add extra lines. So I'm going to go between each box and I'm going to add a line. Again, not changing how much I've colored, not changing how big each piece is. I'm just splitting them again in another piece. So now I'm going to see how many pieces I have shaded. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 shaded out of how many total? Well, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 out of 20 pieces. Well, now let's see what we did. How are we getting from 4 to 8? And whatever we're doing from 4 to 8, are we doing the same thing from 10 to 20? Because remember, we got to keep things equivalent, which means we got to keep things equal. Well, let's see. How do I get from 4 to 8? Oh, 4 times 2 is 8. And how do I get from 10 to 20? Oh, 10 times 2 will give me 20. Again, whatever I do to the top, I must do to the bottom in order to keep things equivalent. Now, this will help us when you're given a problem and you're asked to find a missing piece. Again, in order to keep things equivalent, I have to do the same thing to the top and the bottom. So I can go with what I know. How am I getting from 2 to 8? Well, 2 and going to 8, it's getting bigger, so I know I'm multiplying. 2 times what will give me 8? Okay, that's 4. So if I do the same thing to the top, 1 times 4, I'll know my equivalent fraction in eighths to 1/2 would be 4/8. See how I can find that equivalent fraction? On this bottom problem, I'm going from 3 to 9, so my number's getting bigger. And so if my number's getting bigger, I know I'm multiplying. 3 times what will give me 9? Oh, 3. So I'll make sure I do the same thing to the top. 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. So 2/3 and 6/9 are equivalent. In the same regard, I can figure out the denominator if I have the numerator. And this time I'm going from 27 to 3, so my number is getting smaller, so I know I'm dividing. 27 divided by what will give me 3, or 3 times what will give me 27? I know it's 9. So if I take the bottom and divide it by 9, well, I know 9 times 4 will give me 36, so 36 divided by 9 is 4. I can find the equivalent fraction. 27 over 36 is equivalent to 3/4. Same thing here at the bottom. How am I getting from 6 to 3? Well, my number's getting smaller, so I know I'm dividing. What am I dividing by? 6 divided by 2 will give me 3, so I got to make sure I divide the same on the bottom. Divide by 2. 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. So 3/5 is equivalent to 6/10. This is Unit 4, Level 2, Equivalent Fractions. Again, whatever you do to the top of the fraction, make sure you do to the bottom.